Hey teachers, if you are watching this video, there is a good chance that FAST season is either right around the corner or you have about 15 teaching days left before the FAST assessment. I want you to take a breath, because this video is going to give you a clear, practical plan for getting your third graders ready for both math and reading without losing your mind in the process. I'm going to share exactly what the most common student struggles are on the FAST, what I learned after years of watching third graders grow over the year and prepping them for the FAST assessments. Second semester gives you two important things: the FAST PM2 assessment data, and 4 months ahead start to prepare for the end-of-the-year FAST assessments. What you will hear admins say is that you should use daily practice and small group instruction to fill in the skill gaps and build on skills already mastered. This approach is supposed to move all your students forward. However, this only works if you have analyzed your students' FAST results. This also only works if the small group practice is intentional. Make sure that your students really get to understand the concepts inside and out. Rote practice of repeated questions during centers might look good, but it will not help your students deal with complex questions and math vocabulary used on FAST. Let's start with math because there are a few very specific areas where third graders consistently struggle on the FAST, and knowing what they are in advance lets you get ahead of them. Number 1, word problems. This is the big one. Most students who know the math still get word problems wrong because they're not reading carefully enough, or they don't recognize the vocabulary the question is using. Words like quotient, sum, difference, in all, how many more, these are signals for which operation to use. Practice teaching students to underline those keywords before they do any calculating. Teach math vocabulary. Make sure that the kids know synonyms for addition, all, altogether, sum, combined, etc. And here's something important: when you teach students to check their work, be very specific about what that means. Don't just say go back and check. Tell them, redo the problem completely from scratch and see if you get the same answer. Have students double-check with the opposite operation. Teach the process before the FAST so that they will know what to do. Also, keeping in mind that you are teaching 8- and 9-year-olds, show them how to organize their work on the scrap paper. They only get one blank page. Some kids write really big. Teaching them to keep their notes organized will help them keep track of their work. Number 2, elapsed time. This is a reversibility concept, meaning students have to think backwards and forwards at the same time. Developmentally, that's genuinely hard for this age group. The fix? Step-by-step modeling every time. Use scrap paper. Draw a number line. Draw clocks. Make paper plate clocks that show hour and minutes. Using multisensory approach in any teaching ensures better learning outcomes. Show students the steps visually so their brains can process the problem piece by piece rather than all at once. While time is also a second grade standard, students need additional time to review the analog time and learn lapse time. Number 3, area and perimeter. It takes most students more than the given time for the unit to master this concept. For whatever reason, perimeter and area get mixed up. Plus, on FAST, students are asked to find the length of an unknown side. Provide consistent practice on perimeter and area until students show mastery. For some students, mastering this standard might take most of the year, which is fine. Keep at it and watch kids grow. Once they learn it, they will never have to learn it again. Strategy number 4, repeated readings and checking of their work. Teach students to read the question and answers at least 3 times. This technique will allow them to slow down and understand the question better. Once they find the answer, students should check their work. By showing their work, students are able to check for accuracy and catch errors as they appear. Now let's talk about reading assessment, and specifically about the gap that shows up on FAST scores more than almost any other. Here's something that might surprise you. Up to 35% of the FAST reading assessment is informational text, nonfiction. And according to FAST data, informational text is consistently the domain where students score lowest. Not because they can't read, but because they haven't had enough exposure to nonfiction in the classroom. Most district curricula lean heavily on fiction. Presently available social studies textbooks don't always count as true close reading practice. And so when students hit the FAST and encounter an informational passage about a scientist, a historical event, or a natural phenomenon, they're less prepared than they are for a story. The solution is simple, but it requires intention. Supplement your reading block with nonfiction text regularly, not just in science and social studies class, but in reading class as well. Teach students to identify the text structure in informational passages. Teach cause and effect, problem and solution, central idea and key details, all with nonfiction. While sources like Common Lit will give brief text samples, best books are your go-to resource that will prepare students to analyze informational text and get ready for the type of text that often shows up on FAST. Novels like I Traveled on the Underground Railroad and Frederick Douglass Fights for Freedom will allow you to cover most of the reading standards and provide strong FAST test prep. There's one more thing I want every third grade teacher to understand, and it's something that doesn't get talked about nearly enough. The FAST is an adaptive test. That means the difficulty of the questions a student sees adjusts in real time based on how they are doing. If a student starts poorly and if they rush through the first set of questions and get them wrong, the test levels them down and it becomes very hard to recover. Teach your students to not move to the second section until they have double-checked and done their best work on the first set of questions. This is genuinely unfair to 8-year-olds who are taking a high-stakes, adaptive assessment for the very first time, but it is the reality. And, knowing it changes how you prepare your students. Talk to your students explicitly about pacing. Teach them to slow down on questions that feel familiar because those early questions set the tone for everything that follows. A student who takes their time, reads carefully, and does their best on the first 10 questions is in a completely different position than a student who rushes. That conversation alone could be one of the most valuable things you do before test day. So what does a practical, sustainable FAST prep routine actually look like in a real classroom? Here's what works. Morning work every day. Use the first 10 to 15 minutes of the day for focused review. Rotate through math and reading skills throughout the week. Monday might be word problems. Tuesday might be an informational text with comprehension questions. Wednesday might be elapsed time. Thursday might be a root words activity. Friday might be a short mixed skills review. Small groups targeted. Use your data to pull small groups of students who share a specific gap. If 5 students are all struggling with rounding, that's a 10-minute small group lesson, not a whole class reteach that slows everyone else down. Your practice should mirror the test. Whatever materials you use, make sure the question formats match what students will actually see on FAST, multiple choice, select all that apply, and constructed. Response. The more familiar the format feels, the less cognitive energy students spend figuring out what the question is asking, and the more they can spend actually answering it. If you want a ready-made resource that does all of this for you, a 30-day FAST Math Review Pack with 100 standards-aligned questions, organized by skill, plus reading prep materials for informational text and academic vocabulary. I have linked everything in the description below from Mrs. Lena at Kids Read. It is teacher-friendly, data-driven, and built for real classrooms. You've got this. Your students have got this. The second semester is your window and you are not going into it unprepared.